The Coyotes are gone, and now all of a sudden, everybody wants in. We'll talk about it coming up. Hello and happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Hockey Podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I'm Leah, here with Craig today. We have Shane behind the Mac. Craig, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday? Your day off. I put that in quotes.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's the business, right? I'm doing all right. I've got my set ready behind me. In fact, I put a Rangers mask there because that's the squirt team that I play for. But also, maybe the New York Rangers want a piece of the Arizona market because it seems like everybody else does, Leah.
That is absolutely true. There's been some interesting things kind of in the social media verse this week with, various markets trying to capitalize on the now NHL-less Arizona market. So we're going to talk all about that. We'll talk about the TV side. We'll talk about the grassroots on the ground side. And then we'll round out the show talking about some surprises and disappointments to start the NHL season. So that's what we got on deck today. Everybody here, hit the like button. Make sure you're also subscribed to wherever you get your podcasts as well. But Craig, let's just start by talking about the situation at hand, which is that for the first time in almost 30 years, there's no NHL team in this market, and it kind of almost creates a vacuum situation. The situation with Arizona, though, is that it's kind of surrounded by states that have NHL teams. So now there's an opportunity for those teams, and it's interesting, the teams that have the opportunity versus the teams that don't. Craig wrote about this morning on GoPHNX.com, so make sure you check out that story. And all of a sudden, everyone wants in, and they're trying and they're fighting. So it's a very unique situation that obviously we haven't been in for 30 years plus. Before that 30 years, some of these teams didn't even exist.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about too, right? Yeah, our good friend Chase Beardsley tweeted a photo of a billboard. Apparently there are multiple digital billboards around the valley, sponsored by Scripps, but advertising Utah hockey games, Utah Hockey Club games, until they get a name. There it is, being telecast in the Valley and in Tucson. Ouch. Every time you commute to and from work, every time you're going out, maybe for a pleasant evening, you can have this as a reminder that the Coyotes are no longer here. They're north of the border in Utah. If you didn't need that as a reminder, maybe you could just show up at Gilbert AZ Ice this weekend and you could walk in and expect to find, Vegas Golden Knights all over the place. Chance the mascot. There are going to be all kinds of people from the Golden Knights running free clinics for kids, which is cool. I don't want to, I don't want to denigrate that, but they want a piece of this, Mark. Colorado has broadcast rights as well. So there are 3 teams, Leah, that now have broadcast rights in the non-exclusive market of Arizona. Heck, why don't the Ducks and Kings just get in on the act too? Because as we know, California borders Arizona as well.
Outdated Clayton Keller picture there, though.
Yeah, they need to update those billboards.
Ooh, come on.
Yeah, there's not.
I wasn't going to say it myself. I actually noticed it when I put the photo up. I was like, I wonder if anyone will comment on this. Yeah, they need one with a C.
Well, they also need photos of Clayton Keller with a C, and that's another story. Let's start with TV, Craig, because this has been something that has been extremely confusing to fans in this market. We've seen it in our Discord and on Twitter. People don't really understand what they can and can't watch, where they can and can't watch things. And if you go on like the NHL website and search your zip code, it tells you what TV market you're in. And when you do that, you see you're in the local broadcast territory for Vegas Golden Knights and Utah Hockey Club. Okay, because we've seen Utah come out and say that they're going to broadcast 55 games on Arizona 61 this year. And you also saw the Vegas Golden Knights come out and say that they're going to also show 55 games in Arizona, in Phoenix and Tucson on Arizona 61 and 58. Plus, fans in Arizona can also watch games on the Nighttime Plus app that Vegas has where you can stream the games. So, okay, those are some options. Then we have some people who think, you know what? Screw Utah, screw Vegas. I'm going to follow the apps. And they have ESPN Plus and they say Colorado is like, I know it's close, but it's far. Well, actually, it's blacked out on ESPN Plus too, Colorado, because Arizona residents only have access to Altitude's Avalanche broadcast via Altitude Plus, which I don't even know how accessible that is for people. You either have to pay more. I guess Altitude is on some carriers, but not really any here. So now we're in a situation where there's no NHL team in Arizona. There's 3 teams vying for the attention of the fans, and nobody has much clarity on how to watch the NHL. So sounds like a mess. Craig, can you kind of help us unravel some of this?
Sure. First off, do you think the Avs are even aware that they're broadcasting in Arizona? Or are they too worried about all the goals they're giving up right now? I'm curious. They don't seem to have the same sort of game plan, on the boots on the ground plan that these other 2 teams have, and more on that later. But basically what this comes down to is if there are local broadcast rights available in this market, then you're not going to see these teams available on ESPN Plus or NHL Center Ice. Again, that plays to the exclusive and non-exclusive markets. There's a lot more legalese behind it. I'm not going to get into it with you, even though Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley was gracious to answer my constant questions. I just felt like a dimwit. I just kept asking him more and more questions, and he answered them all. Some I still didn't understand. Again, I'm not going to get into the legalese, but basically those 3 teams offer local broadcast options in this state. So you're not going to see them on ESPN Plus or NHL Center Ice because those are considered out of market. Then they'll black that out. They want the viewers to go to the local option. So that's how that works.
Yeah. I'm just against blackouts in general. I think it kind of really goes against the NHL's whole thing of wanting to grow the game. And you hear all sorts of crazy stories. Like, I live in Montana and I can't watch X team play. I live in Idaho and I can't watch X team play. I just think you should want, and I get it, like there's media exclusivity rights. I understand, like, we work for a media company. I get it. But I just think if you want to grow the game, like when ESPN got the rights to NHL and you heard, okay, the games are going to be on ESPN Plus, that was a great step in the right direction of increasing the accessibility. I used to have NHL Center Ice when I was in college, to keep up with the NHL. But like, fans here, I don't know if everyone really knows what they want yet. We'll talk more about that. But then they think they know what they want and they can't even watch that. So like, it just feels like there's far too many hurdles when they're trying to make this easy on the fans in Arizona. And it's not. Like, do you need an antenna? Do you need to subscribe to a streaming service? It's just, I don't know. It just has been very muddled. And I know all of this happened quickly and it was unexpected, but I just felt like it should have been easier to understand, easier to grasp, and easier for fans in Arizona to figure out how to watch their teams, whether those teams are Utah, Vegas, Colorado, or beyond. And I guess beyond, you could watch on ESPN Plus.
We should make, I think Petey, since he took the show off today, apparently, I just have to chirp him, even though
always
I know a million balls that he's juggling right now. We should have Petey make a dummies guide, like a YouTube clip of how to watch the Avs, how to watch the Knights, how to watch Utah. I think that'd be great for our viewers. But listen, this is America. You know what rules America, Leah? Money. More than anything
Let's go,
else,
Craig. Let's
money
go.
decides it. You want you want
Hammer
to
and
jump
sickle,
in,
Craig.
Deeper?
Let's go.
Come on, jump in here, Deeper. Let's go. What do you got for me?
Oh,
It's all about the money, okay? So that's why you can't watch on ESPN Plus or NHL Center Ice, because these other local broadcasters want their rights. And ESPN's like, that's cool with us. We understand how the game works. We're still going to give you the money, NHL. So the NHL is like, cool, we can make more money this way. So that's what rules the day, not necessarily growing the game at all costs, because again, it comes down to cost. It comes down to money more than anything, because this is America.
Well, screw that. It's BS. My favorite line, though,
go back to Canada and pay your high taxes.
This is getting out of hand. My favorite line, though, Craig, from your article this morning was, theoretically, the LA Kings and Anaheim Ducks could also have rights in the Arizona market, but Daly said that is not currently allowed or contemplated. They listen, it's already sensitive enough that they're showing Utah games here. I think the one thing all Arizona fans can agree on is the LA and greater LA area teams are usually not favored. I know that we have some strong feelings against LA specifically. So that line just made me laugh, because
you get that kind of hatred, by the way, because it's LA adjacent. I don't even know.
I don't know. I think the Anaheim hatred comes more from the last few years. I felt like the Coyotes and Ducks kind of were starting to form a rivalry. Obviously, like the Trevor Zegras situation for a few years ago. But we all know, some of our diehards have had some great experiences with Wild Wing, the mascot. I think there's a little bit more of a softened look at Anaheim than LA. But just again, it's like, for me, even when I'm looking at, okay, who am I possibly going to root for now that the Coyotes have moved on? I'm almost looking like out of conference, because for so long you're in this like West bubble where there's these rivalries. It's kind of hard to stick with teams in the West when they were the direct rival of the Coyotes for so long. So that's kind of where I am. I know everybody has differing opinions on that. But Rick in the chat said ESPN Plus blacks out the local games and you have to wait 48 hours before you can even watch it on demand. It's ridiculous. Again, it goes back to what you said.
Things that I was told, by the way, as well. Like I didn't want to get into the weeds too much on this. Yeah, there's a whole lot more stipulations that I'd rather not get into. Like if you want to know, ask ESPN, ask them how this works, or ask the league. Yeah, that is true though. And that was something that I was told.
Well, I hope that kind of clears up a little bit more about what games you can watch here. As I said, Craig did explicitly say in his article and linked to the games that Utah is planning to show and the games that Vegas is planning to show. So if you want to, create a schedule for yourself, it is kind of confusing that it's like Arizona 61, Arizona 58. I don't know. Like I'm very much like a millennial teetering on Gen Z, where I'm like, I just want to stream it. Like I felt this last year with the whole antenna thing. I love the antenna thing because it makes it free and accessible, but I never got the antenna working at my house. Like, I have a smart TV. I want to stream. I guess Vegas has the upper hand here because they're at least offering their streaming service in Arizona. But you got to pay for it. So, at this point, I'm just watching what's on network TV. Like, I'm going to just watch the games on ESPN and TNT.
Utah has a streaming service, too. I've been watching games.
Okay. Well, that, too. I just guess I haven't done as much research on Utah.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, it's maybe they rolled it out like 2 days ago or something because.
But I think that was even
a while ago. I don't want to. I'm amazed at what Utah has accomplished in less than 6 months. It's crazy what they've accomplished, and we'll get more of that in a little later. I'll let you.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's why it's the fact that they've rolled that out for the Arizona market. We saw the billboards. That's more than I ever expected. There's been a little less on the ground outreach. We'll get to that in a moment. You alluded to Vegas's on the ground outreach. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about kind of the reaction, not just among the fans here, but among youth hockey communities and other organizations such as the Matt Shott Foundation, that are trying to keep youth hockey and adult league hockey and just hockey alive in the desert. So those are some people you spoke to for your article. We'll get to that. But all of that is coming up on PHNX Hockey. Well, Shane and I are taking a road trip down the I-10 this weekend, and I know that we're going to make a stop at Circle K before we go, both for snacks and to fill up on gas. I always seek out Circle K's because I save 5 cents per gallon as a member of the Inner Circle every time I fill up. When you sign up for the Inner Circle, you save 25 cents per gallon, your first 5, and then you hit a certain quota, becomes 5 cents, but in the meantime it's 3. All that is to say it's savings all the way around. So make sure you join the Inner Circle. It's completely free to do. Plus, go inside, grab some snacks. I love Circle K snacks, specifically the chips. I'm a big fan. And of course, you can enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. And I know it's October, but it's still hot out there. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And once you fill up on gas, head on out to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We have tons and tons and tons of events coming up this fall at Wild Horse Pass. We have our Cardinals away game watch parties. We have Suns watch parties that are going to be announced soon. So many great things out there. They also have the casino. They have their amazing restaurants. We love Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and you absolutely should check them out for whatever it is you're looking for, whether it's a dining experience, a concert, some gambling, a staycation, any of it. Check out Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And as always, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can visit playatgila.com for more details. Unfortunately, I didn't have Petey here to run through the list of concerts.
I can run through a fun feature they have. Their roulette tables light up.
Okay, there you go.
When numbers hit, and it's very fun, and it gets me going every time I'm there.
All right, there you go. That's Shane's 2 cents to that. All right. We are going to continue on and talk about the on-the-ground outreach aspect of this. And Craig, you got an email from the Golden Knights earlier this week, kind of a press release that, has now gotten out there. So the Golden Knights are actually physically coming to Arizona this weekend, the 19th and 20th. They're going to host, and this is in Gilbert, much to Craig's happiness there. Yeah, right in his neck of the woods. So Vegas is coming, and they're going to host a pair of free 1-hour on-ice clinics at AZ Ice Gilbert for children ages 5 to 12. They're also going to host a watch party for fans at Park Tavern and Market right by AZ Ice for a watch party for the Golden Knights playing the Florida Panthers. There's also going to be giveaways, retail items, and photo opportunities. They're bringing down Chance, their mascot. And then on Sunday, Las Vegas.
Show, by the way.
What was that?
Friend of the show, by the way.
Yep. He has been a guest on Walking and Talking on this program. Craig was like, we should interview him. I said, we already have. And then
much, as I recall, but
no, he didn't have much to say. Los VGK will host a free ball hockey clinic. Then their initiative is to help engage the Hispanic and Latino fan base, which is something that was also a mission of the Coyotes when they were there. So you can look at this at face value and say, this is really great. It's cool that Vegas is jumping on this opportunity. It's cool that they're investing in youth hockey and, keeping the game alive here and growing the game. On the flip side, you're like, part of it feels kind of sketchy because it's like they're just capitalizing on this. I don't know. There's a lot there. This is a bit of a nuanced situation. So, Craig, you've talked to people both in Vegas and here in Arizona. What's your take on this?
Yeah, listen, I spoke to Eric Tosi, who, their chief marketing officer. I think I have that title right.
Yes.
And he said they're very sensitive to this. They understand how emotional this is for everyone on the ground, how painful it is. But they also, their research says they have a lot of Golden Knights fans here. So they want to stay in touch with them just the way they want to stay in touch with other states like Idaho or Montana or Wyoming, where they have some fans. They feel like they need to do this sort of outreach. So they're going to be here, boots on the ground. Kudos to them. Listen, I talked to Lindsay Fry, of course, who everybody knows in this market, and everybody knows the yeoman effort she is putting in to try and not only keep youth hockey alive, but keep it thriving and keep it growing. And Lindsay admitted this took her a little by surprise. She wasn't aware that this was happening, but they're doing it with another youth hockey organization. They're doing it with AZ Ice. So she's going to have a table there. The Shott Foundation is going to have a table at this event on the weekend. And she said, listen, I have great relationships with Vegas. I have great relationships with Utah. And I'm sure we'll have those conversations. Had the roles been reversed, had the Golden Knights left Vegas, would the Coyotes have jumped into Vegas and done this? Absolutely, they would have done it. You have to do this sort of outreach. But this one's a little different because not only is it, you're coming in when a franchise just relocated, you have to be sensitive to that, right? You have to understand that this is not like a state that's never had hockey where they're just excited to see the NHL. These are a lot of people that are still grieving, a lot of people that are angry that you're here. So they have to tiptoe around all that. They have to handle this very carefully. I did ask Eric at the end of that interview, by the way, they're coming to put on their own free clinics, and Lindsay said they're still in charge of learn to play, all that stuff. I asked him if there was a possibility that the Golden Knights might actually try to fund youth hockey here. And he said, I can't promise you that, but that is a discussion that we have already had. Honestly, I put Eric in touch with Lindsay. I want them talking. I want them to develop that relationship because, as Lindsay said at the end of that article I wrote, so tactfully and so succinctly, I don't think any of us are going to succeed if we're not working for the same goal, which is to grow hockey in Arizona. That's what this should be all about. I hope the Golden Knights understand that. I hope Utah understands that when they likely will come down to the market when they finished all the other things they have to do and get their own boots on the ground. I hope they understand that as well. You need to understand the situation here. You need to read the room and understand the steps that you need to take to be accepted in this community, because this community is hurting. This community still wants to see youth hockey growing. So those are two key pillars of whatever strategy you have. You need to incorporate into your visits to Arizona, your boots on the ground in Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point. The doing outreach in states like Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, those are states that don't have an NHL team. So any outreach, I'm sure, is appreciated. And it's a really good strategy for Vegas to try and expand to those places and almost claim their territory. It makes me think of those maps that get tweeted all the time. It's like, these are the states that the teams that these states cheer for. And that's great that Vegas is doing that. And on the one hand, I see why they would want to come here. And it's great what they're doing, but I thought Lindsay put it really well. And this is one of many quotes, so I don't want it to be out of context. But this one really stood out to me from Lindsay. She said, for a lot of people, it just feels a little soon. And I think there's also this feeling like we don't want to be anybody's business opportunity. And I thought that really stood out to me. That kind of goes to the flip side. Of course, you just mentioned that she followed up that we have to work together. The cause is almost greater than any individuals, pride aside and all of that. So it is about working together. And then Vegas, their chief marketing officer said this, which is, we're not expecting everybody who used to root for the Coyotes to all of a sudden become Golden Knights fans. That's not our intent. That's not our expectation. I think that's important to explicitly say that. He also had said, we know it's a very sensitive and delicate situation. We're not looking to go in with no strategy or understanding of just how unfortunate this situation is there. So I think that if that's the intent from Vegas, and again, this is their chief marketing officer saying this publicly.
Who is not pictured in that photo, by the way.
Yeah, that's not, Chance is not the chief marketing officer of, well, we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, we can't confirm.
Maybe Eric is moonlighting. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just a delicate balance. I do appreciate that Vegas sees that, and they're not just like, well, everybody's Golden Knights fans now, that they're trying to understand that. And of course, they're like, I'm sure there's plenty of Golden Knights fans here. And I will say, when I know firsthand, because I was a Coyotes fan, I was entrenched in that community. I know that we all weren't maybe necessarily the biggest fans of Vegas, more so out of jealousy for what they were able to accomplish in their first 6 years as a team. It was kind of everything that Arizona wasn't and never was. So there was a little bit of resentment there. It wasn't, and it was also a natural rivalry, the desert duel, etc. But I will say that when the Coyotes left, Vegas fans of almost all the fans in the NHL were overwhelmingly extremely kind to Coyotes fans. And there are a number of Coyotes fans that I know in our Discord and on Twitter and in communities that are going to follow the Golden Knights. So it's not happening. It's all just muddled and weird. And, there's the group that are following Vegas. There's the group that are following Utah. There's the group that are completely apathetic toward the NHL. There's the group that has no idea what they're going to do yet. And obviously that's what these teams are trying to capitalize on. But it's only been 6 months too. That's the thing,
Yeah, I don't know what stage of grieving we're in, but we're still in a stage of grieving in this market. So yeah, it's tough to stomach this, as Lindsay said. It just feels in some ways it feels opportunistic. Hello, that's business, that's America. But again, like Lindsay said, also you understand why they're doing it. Any team would probably do the same thing with this market, or like the Coyotes would have done in Vegas if Vegas had left.
It's all about the money, money, money. Like that's the theme of today's show.
Capitalism, Craig.
Capitalism.
Right, buddy?
Craig.
Oh, here we go.
Anti-capitalism, Craig.
Go. You have the floor. Go ahead.
No, I've expended all of mine for the last
He's gone
year.
on a few rants about this.
Last time I went on a rant about capitalism, there was a hammer and sickle and the communist flag put behind me, and
Owen got put on a watch list somewhere for making that video. Oh my gosh. Angela said, I'm grateful for Vegas thinking of Arizona's youth hockey. Just please don't push us, to be Vegas fans. I agree. And I think that was clear in that statement by the Golden Knights. But and I like this comment from Duncan. Grief step 9, choose your loyalty.
Seriously. Something Lindsay said to me, and she obviously has a lot of experience dealing with the NHL. She's not sure if there's any club out there that can afford to fund youth hockey in other states, other markets other than their city. I don't know. Mr. Foley has a lot of money. I'm just saying it would be an incredible gesture of goodwill if the Golden Knights were to come in here and just cut a check to the Matt Shott Foundation or to AZIs or to whichever organization they want to support. I think that would go a long way. That would make a statement because, again, let's not kid ourselves. A big part of this move is Vegas trying to capitalize on this situation and make some money. Now, if they put their money toward youth hockey here as well, okay, fine. You want to make some money? What's your investment in the community? You just showed us that you are making a genuine investment in the community. I think that would make a statement. I really do.
I agree. And I think that's the right way to approach this is to do it that way and not just be seen as, capitalizing on a broken community in the sense that they lost their NHL team. But somebody earlier had said Utah's almost starting with a handicap here because Vegas is right on it, right at the start of the season. Utah obviously has the billboards, the TV channels. I'm curious to see, and it's only October, what other teams potentially come out of the woodwork for this if everyone's kind of back off because Vegas staked a claim. This will be an interesting one to follow, but I'm curious, Craig, what do you think this means, if anything, or has any impact if the Coyotes are to return in 5, 10, 15 years? Is it going to be now tough to come to a market where, let's just say, Vegas has taken over, or do you think that it won't be an issue at all?
I mean, there may be a handful of people that stick with Vegas, that have changed their allegiances. But listen, I think if the Coyotes come back, the vast majority of Coyotes fans will embrace them. So I don't know. I think that narrative is maybe overplayed a little bit. I think if we have NHL hockey here in the Valley, people will embrace it. The same people that embraced it before. Maybe, if there's competent ownership, maybe the group will be even larger. But I do think if any other teams try and get in on this action, if the LA Kings show up in town, I mean, there might be pitchforks and torches. It might not go well for them. Yeah.
LA, just stay out of it. Just don't even bother, honestly. Oh my gosh. I thought it was really interesting. And, I've had my own perspective that I've shared on this show over the last month or so, especially last week with the season starting and in Utah starting its play and doing extremely well. And I've been able to recognize the different segments of fan bases that I referred to earlier. We had our ASU hockey takeover on Saturday, which was incredible, by the way. Thank you to everybody who came. And I felt like that was kind of a perfect representation of the fan base. I think there were 20 of us, and most people were in either Arizona State clothing, obviously, since it was an ASU takeover, but more than half were in Coyotes jerseys or PHNX Coyotes shirts, which was great to see. Angela, I'll call her out. She's here in the chat. Came wearing a Utah shirt, which caught a lot of people by surprise. But then we were at the ASU game and we were, in 3 rows. It was a great turnout, great time. I would say 4 or 5 people had the Utah game up on their phones, watching Utah play. I think it was the New York Rangers on Saturday, following along, watching. And I was really surprised to see that because I think my perception had been that more people were apathetic toward Utah than supporting and following. I mean, we have someone in the chat right now saying, like, Utah Hockey Club is the Coyotes in a new venue. Join us. And I want to acknowledge that portion of the fan base as well, because that is a portion that exists. And I think it was kind of a eye-opening moment for me to see that, because I sat and watched the first Utah game. I talked about it last week, and as did many other people in our diehard only Discord. But I was surprised to see how many people were still watching and following Utah at that game. I just thought it was pretty eye-opening. So it is really interesting to see how everything is dispersing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Listen, you do you, right? However you have to handle the situation. I can't tell people what they should do with their fandom. They get to decide for themselves. I don't think someone who goes and roots for Utah is a traitor. That's silly. I mean, what are we talking about here? There's no team here anymore. So what are they supposed to do? If they want to watch NHL hockey, that's fine. But if you don't, if it really hurts too much or angers you too much, cool. Sit this one out.
Yep.
Wait it out. I don't know how long that wait's going to be again, but if that's what you need to do to handle the situation, I'm cool with that too. You get to make your own decisions. Again, America.
Yep, absolutely. JJ said, I'm neutral when it comes to Vegas and Utah. I'm a hockey fan. I love watching hockey. And I think and that's true at the end of the day. And that's why, like, a lot of us have embraced Arizona State, because that's hockey. It's great hockey. And that's the closest hockey that we have here in the Valley. That's, Division I is great, is a great product. But yeah, I'm the same, JJ. It's been an interesting experience for me, but that's why I've kind of leaned into just watching the nationally broadcast games so I can get my hockey fix, but I don't necessarily have like a fandom at the moment, if that makes sense. I've spoken about being a Penguins fan for like since I was 12, I think, but Pittsburgh's not necessarily in a position that I'm gonna jump back on the wagon. No offense.
You don't want to follow Ilves with me. You don't want to follow the Finnish league.
I just don't think the time zones just don't align for me with that. But we'll see. But anyway, this whole thing is interesting. It's been a unique experience for all of us. Obviously, it's pretty unprecedented, and I feel like, Winnipeg, when they left, that was a different situation because it was a Canadian market. The youth hockey in Canada is just so different. It's so part of like the culture there versus here in Arizona, where it kind of had to be established. And we saw the direct effect of the Coyotes being here and on the growth of hockey here. But just to go back to what Lindsay said, and I feel like that's just the biggest takeaway, as long as everyone's working together for the greater cause, yeah, I'm fine with whatever happens. Let's just keep hockey alive and keep youth hockey alive and keep these programs funded, so that we can continue to grow the game here in Arizona. And hopefully one day the Coyotes come back and there's a fan base ready, waiting, and hungry and excited. So
yeah, and listen, they're not going to get the funding that they got from the NHL. Obviously, ASU can't step into that breach, but I know Greg Powers has talked about feeling some obligation to sort of carry that torch in any way that they can to keep hockey alive. So good on ASU and good on the people that showed up. I'm sorry I missed it. I was in Green Bay to watch a different kind of result. You guys got to see an exciting game. Me, not so much. And also, by the way, hot take, or as someone told me the other day who agreed with me, neutral take, Lambeau kind of disappointed me a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I felt the same way a little bit, Craig, when I was there.
Okay. It's
busy
awesome. Streets.
It's cool. It's history. The area around it's amazing. But the actual field, stadium itself,
Well, is the area around it even amazing? Because it's surrounded by like busy streets. There's a like totally corporate feeling mall across the street. Like when I went to Buffalo earlier this season, and I'm speaking directly to you right now, Sean DePaz, I thought Buffalo was a cooler community experience than Lambeau. It was more incorporated into the neighborhood. We were driving down these streets that were moving like 1 mile an hour. Everybody's opening up their front yard to parking. Everybody's tailgating in their front yard. I didn't see nearly that much in Green Bay. I was a little disappointed when I looked at the neighborhood around Lambeau. And then when I think as a Chicagoan growing up, would I rather be at Soldier Field and that cool downtown vibe or Lambeau? Like, it's not even close for me. Soldier Field's a cooler neighborhood. Sorry.
All right. There you go. Craig's hot/neutral takes NFL Stadium Edition. One day I hope to have a take about Arizona Hockey Arena, but that is neither here nor there. But we have lots to get to still. We're going to talk about the first week of the NHL season, and we'll look ahead to ASU and Tucson's weekends. All of that is coming up on PHNX Hockey. It's, no matter what the weather is here, hot, a little less hot than that. One thing is for certain.
It's perfect right now.
It's perfect. But it's always sunny. It's always sunny. And even when it's not sunny, it's bright because we live in Arizona and we get a lot of sun and a lot of brightness. And of course, you need shady rays to help protect your eyes with polarized sunglasses. I'm going to just say it on the record here. Saul Bookman has my new shady rays, and Saul, please bring them. We are all, every day, everyone in the office, where's my new shady rays? Well, Saul has them, so we need to get them from him, but I can't wait to get my hands on mine. I have multiple pairs of shady rays. As I've said many times, they are amazing. They're durable, they're affordable, they're stylish, and they come in so many different colors and styles. So make sure you check out Shady Rays, especially with the holiday season around the corner. Makes an unbelievable gift. They also have blue light glasses. You can get prescriptions for them. So make sure you check them out, and exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And listen, we're approaching the end of the year. What are the goals that you set out before the year began? Was it to redo your flooring and you put it off till now? Well, the time is now. I'm telling you, if you need a sign, this is it. Check out Empire today because they make shopping for floors so easy. You don't have to leave your house. You can do it right there. You can see what it looks like through their features on their website. You don't have to go to those big box stores. And most importantly, they care about quality and they care about a job well done, which is most important when you're doing huge work in your house. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. All right, Craig, week 1 NHL season in the books. We're going to set aside Utah because we've talked enough about them, so I'm eliminating that from what you can answer this question with. Week 1 NHL season, who has impressed or surprised you in a positive way out of the gate?
I can't talk about Utah, huh?
No, I'm taking it off the table.
You're killing that for. Can we start with disappointments? Because I want to say this.
Sure, let's start with disappointments.
Like Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews are vastly overrated players, obviously.
Craig's just coming with the hot takes today. How shocking is it, though? 3 games. Austin Matthews has 0 points through 3 games.
Keith Blackburn had such a great tweet today. He said that 4 Connors have scored in Oilers games this year, and none of them have been Connor McDavid.
That's actually a shocking, off the wall statistic. It's been a very disappointing start for the NHL superstars.
Here's what I would say. The beginning of the NHL season is always crazy. We know this. We've seen this before. It's unpredictable. You'll have weird results. Sometimes there's a lot of offense. Hello, Utah. I know I'm not supposed to mention them on the show, but I don't think we have a real sense of who's going to be good yet. And I don't think the early results say much of anything. Remember Edmonton's start last year?
I do. How could I forget?
They were awful. And then they rallied. Do I think Edmonton is winning the cup like the vast majority of the hockey intelligentsia? No, I do not. I think they have major flaws still. You know who I really like? I like the New Jersey Devils. It looks like they're bouncing back. I watched that entire game against the Utah Hockey Club, and New Jersey looked really impressive. I always loved this team. I've written about their growth. I've talked to Ray Sherrill a lot about how that team was built. I like the Devils a lot. I would love to see them make a move. And if it means supplanting the New York Rangers, all the better. Sorry, George Fowler.
Roaring Fork said the first week of the NHL season is like the first pancake. It's always a throwaway. It's so true. But I'm going to dwell.
Can I fire off the steak?
Yeah.
I think that the fact that you throw away the first pancake or the first waffle in a waffle maker is BS.
I never do, but that's just
I think
me.
It's ridiculous. What are we doing?
I don't throw it away either, actually.
Good.
My pancakes are actually perfection, even though
of course they are.
They are.
Drop the recipe, Craig. What you got?
I've had your waffles.
Craig, can you bring some pancakes in?
They don't travel well. That's the thing about pancakes. I mean,
so we have to drive out to New Mexico to.
I don't know if you guys know this.
Craig can make some pancakes at the Halloween party on Friday.
Well, that's okay. I was going to say there is an event on Saturday out in Gilbert. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's a hockey event, but
yeah, the Golden Knights.
Yeah, that. Dallas is the other team I was going to mention. Dallas looks every bit the cup contender that I think Dallas is my pick to win the cup this year. So they're off to a great start. Listen, good starts help, right? They help you bank some points if you hit some lulls, when you hit lulls later in the season. So it's much harder to do what Edmonton did last year than it is when you get off to a hot start. Really like what the Devils and the Stars are doing so far. In fact, I'd love to see that cup final.
Ooh, that would be a fun one. I know it's only been 4 and 3 games for these teams, but I am surprised by the remaining undefeated teams. Obviously, Dallas is one, but how about Calgary and Winnipeg? The two other undefeated teams in the NHL right now, plus Tampa Bay, of course. Just really, I thought that, like, especially Calgary, I kind of went in thinking, I don't know what they are this season. Again, it's 4 games of 82. I'm not going to, make a thing of it. But just, if you said before the season, like, which 4 teams are going to be undefeated a week in, I wouldn't have picked Calgary and Winnipeg to be on that list. So good for them.
Which of those 4 teams, if you had to pick one that is going to miss the playoffs still, would you pick?
Calgary.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said Avs have to be on the disappointing side. That's an understatement. Shout out to our friends at DNVR for having to put up with this 0-3 start. Their goals differential is -10 through just 3 games. It has been a nasty, nasty start for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, just take a look at the injury list there, though. It is ridiculous how many key players they are missing. Give Colorado time. Colorado's not going to miss the playoffs. I wanted to also give a shout out to Darcy Kemper back in LA. He's pretty excited about being back there. Thinks he can revive his career. So we'll see how that goes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Even though we just talked about our hatred of LA, but we do always appreciate the former Coyotes.
I root for people.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. A couple other notes on this list. You have, Edmonton we talked about. Nashville's kind of had a rough start too, which is a bummer for me as a Juuse Saros fantasy owner. He lost me a lot of points last night. That was a tough one. It's so early, but it is interesting to see. We also got a goalie goal last night. That was great. Yeah. It's been an entertaining first week for sure.
Yeah, Nashville, I think with so many changes, it's going to take a little time to get that all sorted out, get all the chemistry going. But listen, do I think Nashville should have done what it did in the offseason? Do I think Nashville is a cup contender? No. It felt like it was probably time to rebuild, but that's not the route that they're going. They're going to try and stay competitive. Maybe they need to do that in that market. I don't know. I don't think it's going to lead anywhere ultimately, but I do think that they'll be a playoff team.
I also want to mention and acknowledge the Columbus Blue Jackets home opener last night, which I thought was so beautifully executed for everyone involved. Every small touch that they did from, the concourse to the warm-ups to the Florida Panthers arriving with purple Gatorade and Skittles to, 13 seconds off the clock with the winger spot missing. There were so many. Sean Monahan holding Johnny's child. I was bawling my eyes out last night watching these clips. Just across the board, it was beautiful. And I thought it was a great way to honor Johnny and Matthew. So shout out to the Columbus Blue Jackets, everyone involved. I know how hard that night must have been, but I really wanted to acknowledge that because that was a huge thing that happened this week. And I just thought it was really touching.
Leah, I think that sort of thing can happen in other sports, but the depth of it, the planning of it, all the little details, man, to me, that just said hockey community, didn't it? That's when I was like, yeah, that's hockey. That's the difference between hockey and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when I do feel sorry for myself about the Coyotes leaving and things like that, there's just so many things that are bigger. And I think kind of to just encompass everything that we've talked about, the thing that makes hockey so incredible is the hockey community, and the community even that we've built here, the communities that people feel across North America and beyond. That's what makes hockey so special. That's why losing a team that binds the community hurts so badly. But I think that's what makes it incredibly special. So for those who are, feeling like they're struggling without that, know that you always have a place with PHNX and in our diehard community. Even without the Coyotes, there's plenty to come together for. So I just want to make that clear as well. I talked about our takeover and how fun it was and how great it was. I do want to show our picture just to make Craig have more FOMO. This was at our pregame meetup at Zips, which was a blast. Just an amazing turnout. So we had so much fun, and shout out to ASU for making it a great game. It was a much more even game than the Friday game, which was kind of a blowout. It was pretty even. They kind of blew it toward the end. I thought, oh, here we go again. We were literally at the other end waiting to go down for post game, and within 1 minute, ASU scored twice to tie it. Went to a shootout. I know it doesn't count as a win, but it wasn't a loss. It was a tie, which is better than it was looking. So thrilling game for the fans. And we have another takeover planned for next year. So make sure you keep your eye out for that.
Deefer, can you Photoshop my face onto that photo? Just so I can feel like I was there.
I can put you on the TV screens.
There you go. Like with my head over my face, watching the Packers and the Cardinals.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh man, So that was a great game, but still a little bit of a struggle start for ASU. I don't think it's where they wanted to be at this point, especially in that opening weekend against Air Force. They are in Providence this weekend, so hopefully it's a big bounce back weekend for Arizona State, because like you mentioned earlier, and I've had this on my mind, ASU has the chance, speaking of the teams that need to capitalize on this market, ASU is one of those teams. You mentioned that Greg Powers said he feels some of that responsibility, and the way to do that is to win and give people a reason to cheer. So it's not like the same level of pressure, but it is something that I've kind of thought about too. So hopefully ASU can bounce back this weekend in Providence.
Yeah, look, it's very early, so a lot can happen. There are a lot of new faces. I get all that, but one thing that I've learned with this program, or at least a characteristic that it's had, it's like that Air Force series. They blew that game in late in game 2. They should have swept Air Force. They needed to sweep Air Force. Honestly, they're a better team than Air Force. They needed to close that out and win those 2 games. And then they needed to find a way to split with Michigan, not go 0-1-1, which is how this looks in the pairwise. I know people were excited about the shootout win. It doesn't mean anything. Sorry, it's fun to watch. It's good viewing. Doesn't mean anything in the pairwise. They needed to split that series, and they didn't. They needed to sweep Air Force, and they didn't. There are going to be some growth pains. Cullen Potter's really young and really exciting. They've got a lot of new faces, but I want to see this program take a step forward. If they hope to compete in the NCHC, they've got to turn in better performances than they're showing right now. So hopefully they can get it together by the time they hit conference play, because they are walking into a buzzsaw in that conference. That is a nasty conference this year. It is a nasty conference every year. It's won 6 of the past 8 national titles. It's not going to be easy sledding for the Sun Devils once they hit the NCHC.
Yep. One more team also in Arizona, the Tucson Roadrunners, split their opening weekend, which was on the road against Colorado. Their home opener is this weekend, Saturday night against Texas, and Sunday against Texas as well. So it would be a great weekend trip for the family. Go see some Roadrunners hockey. I know we're definitely going to plan to go down the I-10 and check out a game there and check in on Tucson all season long. So all this to say, there's still great non-NHL hockey in the state that, I think is definitely worth watching and supporting and checking out in person, especially the Roadrunners, because that future is a little bit more unclear. So you want to check them out while they're still around. ASU, at least, is around for the long haul.
That is just hard to think about another team relocating, isn't it? I mean,
Let's talk about capitalism again.
yeah. How do you feel about rooting for an AHL team in Reno? Yeah, that I'm probably not going to do that. Yeah, no, probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
Can we talk ASU basketball on this program, or is that not allowed?
I'm excited for ASU basketball, buddy. I am very excited for ASU basketball. This is going to be an intriguing season. We probably shouldn't talk about it on this show, though.
Yeah, no.
This is the PHNX hockey show.
Yeah, come on.
But I mean,
can you tie it to hockey somehow?
I think Josan San can put somebody on skates.
I think we can tie it to hockey because there's been a lot of discussion about the ASU or basketball arena needing updates.
It's never gonna happen.
I know. Tinfoil hat, please.
It's got quote good bones, and by good bones, bad bones.
I think they're going to run a VTFA too. I think that's what's going to happen. So I don't. That ship has sailed. Yeah, and Tempe has its beloved compost yard instead.
Yes, well, we'll always have the dump. We'll always have the dump. Oh boy. All right. Well, everybody here in the YouTube chat, thank you. Some great conversations going on. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on this video, whether you're watching live or later. And if you're listening on audio, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We want you to become a diehard. Like this past Saturday was so necessary. Craig, we're sorry you weren't there. We hope you're at the next one in February. Those tickets are already secured for the DU weekend, another big weekend on the ASU hockey calendar. Plus, we'll plan some other events down the line here as well before then. But it just felt so good to come together as a community. I kind of just looked around and thought, even with the Coyotes gone, we'll always have this group. And I love that we all pivoted and went and supported ASU hockey. It was just so heartwarming. And the community aspect is my favorite part about what we do here. And we want you to become a diehard. We want you to become a diehard and join that community, join our Discord, rep our merchandise, read Craig's articles at gophnx.com. He's still writing about hockey somehow. Me too. Obviously, great Cardinals coverage as well. We have Gerald writing Gerald has a preview, by the way, for every single player on the Phoenix Suns, every single one. So if you're
shout out to Gerald Bourquet for just churning out content.
And Shane for editing these video breakdowns. It's just unbelievable content. We want you to go read it and check it out. Jesse, of course, subscribe to the newsletter as well. Speaking of hockey community, Patrick Brown is on board at PHNX. You can sign up for the newsletter. Go phnx.com/newsletter.
Iowa State fan.
Yeah, true. Patrick has exclusive content delivered to your inbox every single morning, Monday through Friday, first thing when you wake up. So we have a ton to offer, and we want you to join the community. Become a diehard today. Go phnx.com/diehard. Grab your free shirt as well. You can get your hockey belongs in the Desert Tee, which is one of my absolute favorites, or any of the other shirts in the locker as well. So many great reasons to become a diehard. Oh, and look, Jacob's in the chat. Hello.
Hey. What's up, Jeffrey?
Jacob, turn your device volume all the way up. Okay, that's probably all the way up now. Hadley, what sound does a dinosaur make?
Jacob had a cameo in the ASU vlog from the ASU Utah game, by the way. You can check that out on YouTube.
Was that a cameo or a jump scare? I got jump scared by Jacob. Jacob Jump Scare? That's a good nickname.
Craig, any final thoughts before we close out? You don't get to be on our live shows too often, so I appreciate you filling in today, but anything else you want to discuss before we wrap?
No, I'd like to know where PD is, first of all. I do have that question. But secondly, like I said before, you do you. However you need to get through this, we'll support you. If you want to root for the Golden Knights, go for it. If you want to root for Utah, go for it. If you want to hate on both teams, go for it. We'll support all of that. We are a community. I get it. People grieve in different ways. But I would hope that people will turn out to support the Sun Devils and support youth hockey. Those are the two things that are really going to help keep hockey alive. And then maybe one day we'll all be back together, kumbaya, talking about Coyotes 2.0.
As always, this is America. I felt like I had to throw that in one more time. Oh boy. Well, Craig, thank you so much for filling in today. It's been nice to catch up. We also, if you missed it, Craig and Petey and I got together for our audio only episode last Friday, where we kind of talked about our feelings on last week, our emotions, our thoughts on Coyotes 2.0. So make sure you check that out wherever you get your podcasts. We have audio only episodes dropping weekly that you can only get on the audio side. So make sure you subscribe. And while you're there, hit the little 5-star button. It takes 0.5 seconds and it means a lot to us. And make sure you're subscribed to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. You know, we're live every Wednesday at noon, but we have Suns, D-backs, Cardinals, ASU, Wildcats, all live 5 days a week. So there's plenty of great sports to go around in the Valley, and check it out on our PHNX Sports YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, at Shane Deef. Follow the show at PHNX_hockey. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.
We all silly like the mayor.